Modern Horizons 3 is just around the corner. The pre-release is on the 7th of June, which is only a few days away, and then on the 14th is the official release date for the product. We know the cards, we know what's out there, and stores are now starting to stock their websites with available cards. But there's something very interesting going on, and today we are going to discuss it in the video. We're talking fetchlands. Some of you have been around this channel long enough to recognize the phrase, "It's all about the fetch." The backbone of any good set. If you have fetchlands in there, it's a guaranteed home run success. Back in 2014 with Khans of Tarkir, for $99 a box, you could get up to 7 fetchlands inside one of these boxes. So what's going on? What's changed? And will Modern Horizons 3 be able to dish it out? Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel. A reminder, guys, if you enjoyed today's content, if you like hanging out with the Moxman, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell. I put out new content every single day. So what's going on? Well, we have a few changes going on that I was not aware of until I actually started looking up the information. Fetchlands, as well as a lot of the other pre-order cards, are starting to be mounted up on websites. Not the initial stuff. Not those early pre-orders to kind of get some dollars flowing. You know, we're going to sell 10 caves, 20 caves of Urza. We're going to sell 4 or 5 fetchlands. No. They got 20 here. They got 30 there. They've started racking up what's going to be available on the website, on their stores, for you to be able to go in and buy it. And here's the thing. It's not what you'd expect. So, fetchlands have been around for a long time, guys. Onslaught, okay? Great cards, we love them. Allied, enemy fetchlands, they get used in so many decks that it's just unreal to think that we could live without them at this point. And I remember coming back to Magic and not understanding how good these cards were and just kind of giving them away. Because I was all about dual lands. I didn't recognize the greatness for what they were. And when I got really back into collecting and I started accumulating thousands of them during the Khans of Tarkir block and selling them off and buying and selling, I made a lot of money. I did very well for myself, and so did a lot of other players out there. Keeping a couple of play sets, making sure I had and understood what I would need for the future. But now, we have people out there, especially since Modern Horizons 2, and we saw the decline in the value of that product. When those fetchlands came out in Modern Horizons 2, they were a massive success, but they were opened so much that really they've never fully recovered. Arid Mace is still like a $16 card. It hasn't really changed much. Allow me to share this with you guys. We got a few slides and stuff today, just so you guys see where we're going with this. Look back at 2021. This card came in at the pre-order price of around 40 bucks. And it dropped and it dropped and it kind of bounced back a little bit. And then it was just a slow decline. And it went all the way across from 2022 of January all the way through to January 2024, all the way through now to May of 2024. This card has never come back to its previous levels. But there's something that's missing from this equation. There's something you guys need to know. The stock is actually starting to get low. On a lot of these cards, there's not as many around as they used to have inside the store shelves. There's not as many available when I look at all the spreadsheets going on to things like TCG Player. The overall stock quantity on many of these cards is low. So the idea that it's all about the fetch is not as flimsy as an idea as it used to be. We used to think these cards weren't going to rebound. They'd never come back from the attrition rate. But when we look at the cards and we look at what's on offer, and we also take the data that we know to be true, and that is the fact we know Wizards is doing tighter print runs. We know there's not as much available stock. We know there's not as much money flowing into the market as there used to be. We know stores aren't taking as many risks as they used to. When you start adding up the not anymore, less, we know that these cards will not be as readily available. So when you look at a store and you see they have 1 or 2 polluted delta for sale, 1 or 2 flooded strands, and then Modern Horizons 3 stock has been added to that website and they've added 20. They've added 10. They've added 24. That's maybe they expect to get, or they've already opened some boxes and they have that now available, ready to be posted up as soon as they're legally allowed to do so. So, What happens when those sell out? Because if there's only 2 or 3 available before, that means their stock was kind of low. Now, if we look at what's been happening in the market for these cards, Modern Horizons 3 is coming up, right? Take a look at this. Here is Bloodstained Mire, Modern Horizons 3. You see this thing here at $20.71. It had a bit of a dip, of course, early May, and it's kind of rebounded back. Now, it's still down a couple of bucks overall, but you notice it hasn't collapsed like we just talked about with Arid Mesa. Now, of course, if we continue forward and we take a look at a card like Polluted Delta, this has a bit more of a drop, doesn't it? You go all the way back to March of 2020, and you go all the way down to April, and you see how we're going through the months here since this card got announced. Now, if you look at older versions, they're holding up okay, but this card is all the way down to around the $24 mark for the Modern Horizons 3 version. It's already lost like $7. The question is now, when the boxes don't get opened as much, is it going to rebound? Is it coming back? When you look here at a card like Flooded Strand, it has barely no movement. It hasn't really adjusted upwards or downwards one way or the other. Things are far more stable on these cards right now because until we start seeing box openings, until we start seeing all the little things come around with these products, nobody can truly be sure where that price is going to fall, how the market is going to react to these cards when they hit the market in force. Are we going to have hundreds of boxes opened every week for the next few weeks, flooding 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 of any individual copy into the market? Or are there going to be a lot less opened and maybe thousands do enter the market, but it's spread so thinly that a lot of players decide to keep those cards because the second side of this, the flip side, the sunny side up version, is these cards go to market. It helps justify some of the value, especially for players who don't really need the fetch lands. But for most of us, it's always good to keep them around. They don't hit people's trade binders nearly as much as they used to. And this is information you guys need to be aware of and need to be conscious about when you get the cards. If you open some lucky packs and you get some fetch lands, to ask yourself, do I need it for a commander deck? Is it going somewhere? Should I sell it for 70 cents on? The dollar store will probably pay you fairly decent because they will be able to move them. The low stock was something I found very surprising. That's how I know the stores will be able to move them. And that's why the prices are not adjusting down as much as we would expect, knowing that roughly they're going to open as many inside of a box of collectors that we did for Modern Horizons 2. We know for Modern Horizons 3, you're roughly going to get the same amount. Now, I understand it's nothing like Khans of Tarkir. $99 a box, you can get up to like 6 or 7 of them. I opened 6 myself a couple of times opening those boxes. I understand you are not likely to ever see that again. They're using these cards as that kind of upshift value to justify a more expensive product and a price point. But if you need these cards, you won't be selling them if you do get them, which means the prices won't drop as much. It means they'll hold some value. The higher price point is likely going to keep these cards higher. Everything points to a different strain of market disease we haven't seen, and that's just, it's not going away. There's no cure except for lower prices, and the lower prices are not going to come, so there won't be a cure for it, so it won't drop as much. If you open them, I wouldn't dump them on the market. I would hold on to them, especially if you think you're going to use them. If you're thinking that you're going to get 20 in a box, it's not going to happen, but you might get 6 or 7. You might get some of the ones you really desire. Now, for players who want to buy these and are hoping that they're going to shift down enough in price that you can grab some for 16, 17 bucks, like we saw with Arid Mesa. Well, Arid Mesa's kind of gone up a bit. Overall, it's starting a very slow but kind of upward trend because there's less on the market, as well as all the reprints we saw from Modern Horizons 2 of the fetch lands. They're starting to slowly trend up. It's a really slow market, but as that stock dwindles, the inevitable climb slowly goes up. I remember stores hoarding these things and not wanting to put them out because the prices had dropped so much that they would actually lose money. They said it wasn't worth it for what we opened in a box. I don't know whatever happened. I never really asked around to see what they did with those cards back then, but I remember it happening. So now, if we see card prices shift up because of a tighter market, because of the inflated prices, are players going to pay more? Are they going to be seeking these cards out and paying 25, 30 bucks US per card still? It's a little bit cheaper than it was, like 5-10% lower. This is going to be something that players are going to have to contend with. They're going to have to go round by round, week by week, looking for some of the better prices to afford these cards, because I don't think we're going to see it. Now, if I'm wrong, that's just awesome. Everyone can get a couple extra copies. And to be honest, Minimox needs a couple, and so do I. So I am keeping my eyes open. But at the same time, now that I kind of understand where I've seen all these cards going and how low the stock is at many stores, you're still going to be able to get them on TCG Player. But when you include the shipping time, import fees, and taxes, it usually doesn't work out in your favor at all. So always keep that in mind as well. Same with eBay. With all the taxes and fees associated now, you're better to go to an LGS in most cases, but everyone will shop around for the best prices that suit them. A lot of you guys, depending on where you are in the States, will get better deals on these cards. Fetchlands, who knew that they would go back to actually being a fairly decent, valuable card that players may want? I really expected the value to shift down the closer we got, and it just doesn't look like it. And on a side note, before here at the end of the video, for you guys out there who've been following all the price tracking I've been doing for Modern Horizons 3 collector boxes, they're starting to trend up. Okay, I'm just letting you guys know. You can check that video price drop or price cuts, whatever I put it last week, 2 weeks ago. I've been updating that every single day, and you can see all the trending prices. They went down to the low, and now they're going up by $1 or $2 a day. It's very fascinating to track this out on Amazon to show you guys what's happening. Either way, it's great information for you guys to know. Can't wait to see your comments in the comments section. Are you selling, buying, keeping? If you get them, are you going to hold them for a deck, or you don't care? They're just bonus cards for you because you have enough play sets. I want to know who actually desires the cards. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with me on the channel today. I look forward to more videos with you later in the week. Thanks again. Have a great day, and don't forget, shop smart, shop S-Mart. Welcome back to the end credits, guys. A reminder that these are the amazing patrons of this channel, guys. Because of their support, daily uploaded content is made possible. So thanks again to each and every one of my patrons and my YouTube membership members for backing this channel. They're the patron of the arts. They support the Moxman. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Okay, you made it. Better yet, I made it. Whew, what a day. So, I couldn't help it. Remember these? 6 per box? As low as 4, as high as 7. Kind of crazy to think, right? $100 a box. Where have we gone? Now, let's take that into context and say, wow, that's, 10 years is a big change. And of course, inflation and changes in the market and all that craziness. But I still remember it like it was yesterday, being at those tournaments. Okay, now let's move things along. 10 years goes by so quickly. It was before my time on YouTube, that's for sure. But the idea of trading in thousands and thousands of fetch lands and waiting them climb in price and sell them for 30, 40 bucks a pop was awesome, okay? Enough of this. I didn't think fetchlands would matter that much in this product. I didn't believe it, guys. It's when I was researching for some stuff for Minimox and a couple of friends, and I saw how low the stock were on many of these cards. Now, depending on where you are, of course, it'll be totally different everywhere. But locally, a lot of the stores I checked in have none. Maybe a couple of the special ones like, Zendikar Rising and stuff like that. Some of the little, box topper lands. But most of those are gone as well. They're talking a couple per store. So anyone looking for these things, they got to pay top dollar, and I still don't think we'll have this much of the product open like we did for Modern Horizons 2. So it's just not as much of a shift in price that we could see. Not as much of a swing because there'll be no glut on the market. I think players buying these are probably going to hold on to them just because there's always a place for a fetch land. So Wizards has still got that adage, it's all about the fetch. They still hold up. And even the Shocklands didn't really dip the same way. So, interesting to see. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for being here. Gonna finish the coffee. Gonna finish the coffee. I obviously need more caffeine. And before you know it, we'll be back in action tomorrow. Have a great one, guys.